What's happening, good people? I am First Things First. Don't forget the coach, then comes Mo. And you're with the Evening Social Podcast Spotlight on JEGNAFEST Worldwide Radio Show. Have a guest today, special guest with us today. We got legendary Jerry Clark with us today. What's going on, sir?
Hey, man. Man, everything is good, brother, here in Atlanta. I really appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited about this interview. Like I say, man, I'm here in the A, and let's rock, baby. Let's go.
Man, let's go. I'm going to just jump right into it and just ask, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago originally. My parents relocated to the South when I was going into high school. So even though I'm a Midwesterner, an original Midwesterner, I've been for the most part down here in the South.
Okay. So what type of music did you listen to growing up?
You know, it's funny you asked that because the other day I was just laughing I was telling someone that growing up, you know, with my parents, you know, when it was time to clean the house up on Saturdays, like they was, you know, playing the music that they like, you know, Sam Cooke, Earth, Wind and Fire, Teddy Pendergrass, Isley Brothers, Patrice Rushen, you know, just different music like that. And of course, me and my siblings and my older brother, we hated it. But now, appreciating good music, I ride around and I listen to that music. I ride around and I was just telling somebody the other day, I said, it's just crazy how life works because now that I'm endeared to that music. I love listening to Sam Cooke. I was just bumping Teddy Pendergrass Drive and Isley Brothers. So growing up, that's what, you know, in the house of my parents, that's what we listened to.
Okay. So what specific genres or artists were you influenced by back then?
Well, of course, you know, when rap and the hip hop culture came on the scene, I was you know, I was all in. I was all in from, you know, from the early, you know, Eric B. and Rakim, KRS-One, Beastie Boys, you know, LL, Kumo D.
Okay.
And, you know, so early on, then I really gravitated to a lot of the, you know, that was coming out from West, from Eazy-E to NWA, Too Short, Cube, all them. So, you know, I have a wide range of you know, influences. And of course, then when the South, when Scarface and Ghetto Boys and Uncle Luke, just all over the place. I love all of that, all the rap and anything, you know, associated with the hip hop culture.
Okay. So did you have any family members that were involved in the music industry or entertainment?
Yeah, that's how I actually got into my uncle, rest in peace, my uncle Stanley Bell, who passed several years ago, was he was a heavy influence on me being in the music business. He worked for, you know, Philly International Records, and he was very you know, he was heavy in the music. So he used to take me to the Jack the Rapper conventions and the other conferences. So I was able to see behind the scenes how, you know, how things work, you know, the many moving parts. And I was always intrigued by it. So that was my first foray into the music business was my uncle Stanley Bell.
Okay. So can you share a specific memory or in your childhood that you think shaped your future in the music industry?
Well, not just one, but all of those Jack the Rapper conventions. I remember being at one early on before I actually got in the music business. I was right there at that age, but it was when the West Coast cats was beefing with Uncle Luke, Luke Skywalker at the Jack the Rapper. And that was a very interesting Jack the Rapper convention, to say the least.
Okay. All right. You mentioned Jack the Rapper, man. Tell us what, because some of us don't know, weren't able to go there. Some of our younger listeners never even heard of that. What was the purpose of Jack the Rapper convention?
Jack the Rapper was the biggest urban music conference in the country. It was where everybody congregated and came to Atlanta, and they had the hotel for 3-4 days, and it was radio, retail, label people. It was where everybody came. It was, if you were an artist, whether established or a new artist, it was where you came to network and to get broken That was where records were broken, artists were first seen, and it was around for years up until the mid-90s. And then it started, going away, and then it just went away totally.
Okay. So did you go to college?
I started going to college. I went for a couple years, and then I got into this music business. I started interning at 2 labels, and as much as I stress education and all that, it was the music business just took over. That's how I like to say it. It literally took over my life, and I was, you know, I went into the business, and I never turned back, and never went back to school to get my degree.
Okay. So what was your first job in the industry? What was that?
I was doing street promotion. So for those who don't know, that was hand-to-hand guerrilla marketing. So I was at the clubs, I was at retail stores. I was back then we didn't have, we didn't have hip hop stations. The urban stations in the city, they usually just play rap music from a certain time, maybe from 6 to 10. But I was doing street promotion, so I was handing out flyers, having picket signs, putting up picket signs, putting up poster boards on the poles. So it was hand-to-hand guerrilla marketing, and that's how I got started in the music business.
Street team. Okay. So there
Yep.
had to be a key moment that kept you, motivated to keep going from starting in the street team to becoming VPs and being executive. So what kept you going?
Um, Actually, it was just my love and passion and wanting to be in a business that I truly loved. And and for anyone listening, young or old, when you're passionate about something and you really want to be in it, that's your driving force in itself. Um, I wasn't, I had been around artists, I had been around creatives. Uh, so when I started working with them, it was an easy, transition. But my passion is what kept me in it.
Okay. Besides your uncle, were there any early influential figures in your life that shaped your career?
Well, of course, my parents, but musically, it was Stanley Bell. But my
Okay.
parents, specifically my dad, he put some batteries in my back when I needed it the most, and kept me on point to really go hard and not half step and give it everything. My dad put some may he rest in peace. He put batteries in my back and told
Mhm.
me, go for it, go get it.
Okay. Okay. So how did you transition from those early street team roles to becoming more higher positions in music?
Just growing and establishing relationships in different sectors of the music business. Like, I started getting, having more relationships with those at the labels in New York and LA. And then, and just to be very honest, my name started speaking for itself. When you're good at what you do and people start noticing, and like I'll say it again, I'm gonna say it several other times while we're talking, when you build solid, strong relationships, as you're growing, other people are growing, and they get in positions and you get in positions, and like-minded individuals usually pull those individuals with them. So as I was growing in the music industry, there were other people that were growing with me, and we all came up the ladders together.
Okay. So I got to ask you about some of the challenges. What's like, give me one of the biggest challenges that you faced starting out.
Um, Dealing with unethical people, like
Oh, okay.
dealing with people that'll look at you in your eye and shake your hand and say, "We gonna do A, B, C, and D," and don't mean it and don't do it, and
Hmm.
stab you in the back, and
Yeah.
not just it's too prevalent in this music business when you're dealing with the type a lot. I won't say all, but some of the people in this business are just unethical.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest challenges over my career.
Okay. I can understand that. Share a story with me. This is something when I was doing my research, man. This is a personal question. I want to know if you can share a story of how you were selected to be the VP of promotions for Universal. I think it's SRC and Universal Music.
Yeah, with Steve Rifkin. Shout out to Steve Rifkin. He's done a lot for me in my career. But of course, for those who don't know Steve Rifkin, he was the founder of Loud Records. So that's Wu-Tang Clan, that's Mobb Deep, that's Big Pun. Like he's when you speak about the hip hop culture and this music business, you have to mention his name up there. So me and him had met just over the years in the business, and we clicked and we connected on some, personally and professionally. And he brought me down to Boca Raton to Florida to meet his family, meet his dad, rest in peace. And and he decided to offer me a position. At that time, he was going from Loud to, getting his new situation with SRC. And that's when he offered me the spot to come and work with him. And you know, and we clicked up and worked together for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's legendary. So, what was it like working for Steve Rifkin?
I just wanted to get under, with someone and like him that I could learn a lot from, because he had been in the business a long time and he had signed some of the biggest acts in hip hop history. So I learned a lot working with him. You have two strong personalities like myself and his. So of course, there were times when, we probably butted heads, but we look at it now like we're very close, we talk. But I learned a lot from working with him and for him. Things that I could take the rest of my life, not just professionally, but personally.
Yeah. So, were you there during the Wu-Tang days and
No, no,
Mobb Deep? Okay,
it was later. It was later, early 2000s, with
okay,
Asher Roth,
okay,
Remy Ma and them. Yeah, it was
okay,
well past those Wu-Tang days.
okay. So you mentioned relationships, and this is something that we're huge on. One of the things at Jenna Club, we really stick to networking and relationship building. I think communication is the key. It rules the nation. So can you tell me how you built relationships with artists and industry professionals early on? You're just getting in. How did you learn to do that?
Well, really, people just want you to be true to who you are and be genuine, man. You can really go a long way in establishing strong relationships by just being a solid person. People pick up on that. They pick up your energy, they pick up on your spirit. How many times have you met someone and immediately off the rip, like, I don't know, something about them
Yeah,
that just ain't sitting right with my spirit. So,
right.
God has blessed me with the ability to be able to walk in certain rooms and people want to know who I am, and it resonates when I talk. So that's something that God blessed me with. But you know, building relationships, people just want you to be true and genuine. Or in the words of Pimp C Trio, they want you to be true and real.
Yeah,
So and people, they pick up on that. They see that. So and I just, I had the knack, like Stanley Bethel used to tell me, like, you go meet with an executive, make sure you talk to their assistant and whoever it is. If it's a young lady, send them, when you get back, send them some flowers, send them some chocolate, let them know, hey, I appreciate you. So that way, um, when it's time, when you call in and you want to get your call through to that executive or that person is probably more apt to put you through than just somebody else that didn't acknowledge them or whatever. So whenever I met somebody, when I got back home, if an executive had a young lady as their assistant, I'll send flowers, I'll send a box of chocolate, I'll send a gift card, just to let them know I
yeah.
appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of little things that you can do, but to go back to the original, just be genuine, be solid in everything you do.
I understand that. You just gave us a jewel on how to treat people. I like that.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how did the opportunity to work with Jermaine Dupri and So Def come about?
Well, rest in peace to the late, great Shakir Stewart. Shakir meant a lot to me. Shakir was there. Uh, he was vice president of A&R. And when Jay-Z left, Shakir slid into his position. Uh, it was pretty much him running the urban division at Island Def Jam. So he called me one night about 11 o'clock. I was watching the late sports center, and he said, "Meet me at JD's studio. I got a play that I'm running, and I want to make sure you in it. I need you." So I got up, threw some clothes. When I met him, I had no idea what was going on. So we were talking, and he was like, "Hey, look, me and LA Reid about to bring JD in to run the island side. He's gonna be, he's gonna do an imprint, island so Dev. I'm sorry, it's raining outside, man.
Okay, it's all good.
Okay. He said we gonna do an imprint deal with JD, and we want you to come and run the promotion department." I said, "Oh wow, great." That was, I was still at SRC with Steve Rifkind at the time. So it was Shakur Stewart that came and handpicked me for that position to come work with him and JD and LA Reid on the Social Dev Island Def Jam, on the Social Dev Island side of the Island Def Jam group. So it was huge. I'm gonna get a credit to Shakur Stewart. He made that happen.
Man, so what was your initial reaction to that?
I was
Being
happy. I was
handpicked.
excited. Yeah, I was excited, man. And I knew just the brand of, Social Def was big, but us being under that Def Jam umbrella, I mean, when you hear Def Jam, that just puts you in a whole different space when you're speaking of the hip hop culture.
Gotcha. Okay. So describe a typical day in your role as VP of promotions when you were at So Def.
It was all, I was being the VP of promotion was radio, and more radio. So my day consisted of checking and monitoring airplay, talking to program directors, music directors, mix show DJs. So that was my whole day. But monitoring there's a system called BDS and also a system called Media Base. And that's how you monitor your spins and your rotation at every station in the country, no matter what genre or what format it is. So that was what my day consisted of daily, and monitoring and making sure that my records that I work were in healthy standing.
Gotcha. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about that. Some of the records you worked. What's some of the most memorable projects or campaigns that you worked on during your time at So Def?
Well, when I was at Social Def on the island side, I would say the two biggest ones were Rocco and Dondria. Now, on the Def Jam side, I did some, they would have throw, certain stuff my way, because I had already had a relationship with Jeezy, and then I would work, other Def Jam stuff like Rick Ross. But solely on the Social Def Island side, those were the, two of the projects that people would know was Dondria, female R&B, and Rocco.
Okay. All right. You mentioned a little bit about the Def Jam. I was going to ask you that. Some of the artists key artists you got to work with during that period of being associated with So Def and Def Jam.
Yeah, see, I was working the artist on JD's side, but like I say, it was certain stuff that they would, they would ask me to assist in certain projects. Like I say, like Jeezy, then 2 Chainz came later. So records like that, especially the artists out of Atlanta and out of the South, who I had already had a relationship with.
Okay. So can you think of one of the most challenging promotions or projects that you worked on and you had to overcome something?
But just period throughout my career.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember any. I mean, it's always a challenge because, being in this game and getting records played at radio is always a challenge. I don't think there's not one that just jumps out at me.
Okay.
But, there were projects that, that maybe thought was going to be easier than what they were and wound up being harder because you can't predict how the consumer is going to accept the record. We can sit in the room all day long and say, this is a hit, this is a hit, this is a hit. But the consumer may not think it's a hit. So that was, it's always there were plenty of challenges. There's not just one that jumps out at me.
Okay. What about a funny or unexpected moment that you had in the industry that you can share?
Well, I'm gonna say this, and this is funny because you yourself might be like, how did you miss that? Like, there's records that we get before they come out, and I remember the label sending me "Hey Ya," the Outcast double album, and the Andre 3000 song "Hey Ya," and they sent it to me, and I said, this record ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work, and it it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
It really worked.
So it just goes to show you, it just sometimes, I laugh at it now. Like, sometimes even seasoned vets, even we miss, even we feel like we got the best year around, we miss, man. And I laugh at it now. So it's funny, like how could you not get that record? When I heard it, I was like, okay, this I don't think, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Okay. Got you. So you talk about relationships. How did you manage high profile relationships with artists, industry, executives? How do you manage that?
What I like to do is when I meet with a high profile with an artist or executives, I check my ego. And I expect for that person to check theirs too, which that doesn't happen all the time. But I check my ego. And I let them know, hey man, especially if we're working on something together, if we're in a team mindset and we want to win and we're trying to break records and break artists, let's put this ego to the side and do what we got to do to win. So that's how I comment, whether it's an executive or an artist. I'm gonna make sure that I calm my ego down.
Okay, I got you. Can you think of any artist that surprised you, like with their talent or their work ethic?
Well, I had an artist that was signed to me when I had a label deal. And I flew the artist out to Memphis to work with Juicy J and Paul and 36 Mafia. And when I tell you, it blew me away on how these guys work. And I was able to see the reason why they were so successful as producers and as artists and as label owners. Because when I tell you, man, these guys put in work after work, man. Juicy J and DJ Paul, man, it's like the work that they put in. Like the artist I took with me, he couldn't keep up. And it showed why they were successful, so successful. Mm-hmm. These guys, man, no joke. No joke.
Okay. Man, you had a tremendous impact on Southern hip hop. What do you think has been your biggest contribution to Southern hip hop?
My biggest contribution is just being able to connect the dots with a lot of different artists and situations outside of music, culturally, just being a person that was not just in the stadium, but on the field, in the game, and to still be around 30 years later. It's a blessing. It's all God, man, to be able to bless me to have strong enough relationships and still be here and able to still maneuver and still be relevant. It's all God, man. It's all God.
So how did Southern hip hop evolve during your time? When you were first with SRC, Universal, and then with So Def Jam, how did it evolve? Because it evolved when you were there. It was evolving. Southern hip hop took a whole
time. Actually, you got to go back farther. When I worked with Relativity Records back in the mid '90s with my first, when I was doing street promotion.
Okay.
Like even before then, like I saw the South. Well, it was a lot of booty shake bass music. You had Luke and Luther Campbell, Two Live Crew, Poison Clan, those guys coming out of Miami. And then, later on, you start seeing other Atlanta, Houston, Miami, even with other artists coming out of New Orleans. I saw the transformation of, like, hey, like there's some real player shit, some real player stuff, some real some street stuff. We had a lot of different and it was coming with a Southern perspective. So, like I say, you saw Atlanta jump out with Criss Cross, and then Outcast, Goody Mob. Then you start seeing New Orleans with Master P, and then Baby and Slim, and then with Cash Money. You just start seeing David Banner in Mississippi, 8 Ball, MJG, 3 6 Mafia, and them in Memphis. You just start seeing the South really, it wasn't, not that any other region just was one dimensional, but you was able to see what we were doing here in the South, and how we were able to be. I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to use, but our cachet was big, where we were able to have a different sound, even though it was all coming from the South. So I saw that. I saw it up close and personal.
Man, you can share a story about working with a Southern hip hop artist that made a lasting impression on you?
Well, all of them, but I enjoyed when I ran the promotion department at Outcast label. This was before I even went to SRC with Steve Rifkind. That's how I met Killer Mike and Outcast. Is that I worked for their label, Equimini, which became Purple Ribbon Records later. But working with Big Boy and Andre 3000, man, working with them, man, those were fun times, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot working with Outkast.
Okay. All right. How do you feel Southern hip hop influenced the broader, music industry?
We still running it.
Yeah.
We still running this thing. 25 plus years. We've been running 50 years of hip hop, and we've been running this thing for 25. And we ain't letting it go. If you look at it now, look what's coming out of Memphis, out of New Orleans, out of Atlanta, out of Florida. We still, come on, man. We ain't going nowhere with this thing, man.
Yeah. You here to stay, definitely. Definitely. So what inspired you to relaunch the story time with legendary Jerry? And I want to also know how it worked to be doing with the iHeart podcast too.
Well, that's why I relaunched it, because I was at a point where it wasn't, even though I was getting great content, I wasn't monetizing it. So when I got a call from iHeart and they were interested in the key word I'll say again is monetization. A check is always a check is always motivation to jumpstart something, or restart it. So that's what it was early this year. I signed a deal with iHeart Podcast, and and now I'm putting out content. I've interviewed some of the biggest artists in the music game, all from the South. The South, I wanted to create a narrative and push our narrative of all the creatives from the South, songwriters, producers, artists, and give them their flowers.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's the focus of the new version of the podcast is the South, the Southern hip hop.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how do you select your guests and the stories that you feature on the podcast?
Well, most, if not all, I have relationships with them, and we usually have stories. So that's why it's called Story Time with Legendary Jerry. For my 30 years of being in the business, I've worked with most of the people that have been on the show. Not all, but majority of them. And I know the ins and outs. I know behind the scenes things that happen that the average person, they don't know. I'm not like your average podcast person where I'm just asking. These are questions. These are things and topics and stories that we talk about that people don't know about, and I'm bringing them to the forefront with these creatives.
Okay. Do you have so far? Do you have an episode or a guest that was one of the top for you?
All of them. I love all of them, and I've had fun.
Okay.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot from like the T-Pain episode. I got Scrappy. I've had Dreka Gates on there, Kevin Gates' wife. So and I got some huge one coming up. I got Killer Mike coming up. I got DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia. I'm going to Houston, so I'm doing a Houston run of Scarface and those guys out there. So I'm I got, it's just starting, baby. It's just
Yeah,
the start. Story time with the legendary Jerry.
gotcha. Man, tell everybody where they can find you on your socials, and I know they can go to iHeart Podcast for the show, but is there anywhere else they can find it?
Yes, you can find the podcast on legendaryjerry.com. It's simple,
Okay.
and then that's everything. You can watch it, YouTube. Actually, the YouTube channel is Legendary Jerry Clark, but all that you can go on legendaryjerry.com and you can watch and listen to every episode. And all my social media handles are at Big Jerry Clark, BIGJERRY Clark, CLARK.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell our listeners, what do you want your listeners to take away when they come to Story Time with Legendary Jerry?
You're going to take away some stories from artists, producers, songwriters, of a lot of them. You're going to see why they were so successful in what they've done. Is because these stories, it's not just gossip stories. These are stories that really sets the tone on why they are so successful and they've been successful in this music business.
So, what is one thing that most people don't know about you, about Legendary Jerry? What's one thing people don't know?
And I'm probably the coolest person you gonna ever meet in your life.
Okay.
Ever meet in your life, and that women love me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In the words of James Brown, I look good, I smell good, I feel good.
I like it. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
yeah, man.
looking back, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the music industry over the years?
Well, with digital, from physical sales and going into retail stores and buying cassettes and CDs to everything being streaming, that's the biggest. That is the biggest. It's changed the whole
Yeah.
game.
So the
Literally.
role of the music execs has even changed. How is that different?
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of these labels they don't really have A&Rs. All they do is look at numbers. That's it. All they looking at is numbers. YouTube views, and they look at is numbers. A lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes the music is just mediocre. And I think the music business has taken a hit because of that. I get it that everybody is all about, making some money, but the music industry has taken a hit because a lot of the music that so-called has went viral or whatever, or have the numbers behind it, it's not that good.
Okay. So how do you stay updated with the latest trends and changes in the music industry? How have you done that?
Stay around young people and stay around young people and keep my eyes moving and my ears to the streets. And for OG, as the young folks, as an OG, an old dude, I still move around and I still listen to some of the same records that I'm not that old dude to be like, man, y'all young folk, man, y'all stuff garbage. I still listen to it. I still listen to a lot of the
Yeah,
music. I like to stay in tune with the younger cats, the younger artists.
yeah. I find myself asking, man, what you listening to our interns and stuff, just so I can
Yeah,
see the
you
new
have to.
change in music.
You
Yeah,
have to. Yeah,
yeah.
you got to stay close to the young folks.
So, what advice would you give to our young listeners that may want to start a career in music or in promotions?
Be passionate, whatever lane you want to take. And I'm gonna go back to this word again: relationships. Build good relationships with people that are already in the field. Cultivate, build solid relationships. Relationships they last forever, and they put you in a position to grow and to make money. Relationships are the most important thing. Build and cultivate solid relationships.
Okay. Man, after 30 plus years in the industry, what motivates you to keep working?
Wanting to travel and smoke cigars.
No. Okay.
I just want
Okay.
to travel, smoke cigars, and watch my grown kids one day have kids and be a granddaddy. That's it, man. That's it. I live a very simple life. I like beautiful women. I like smoking cigars, and I like traveling and making some money. That's it.
Okay. Gotcha. So how do you balance that? How you balance your professional life with your personal life?
Uh, I pray every day, and I try to stay as spiritually strong as I can, and mentally healthy.
Okay.
Mentally
Okay.
healthy.
Give me a lesson that you learned that's been crucial to your success.
Um, One lesson: surround yourself with good people, not just somebody that can cut you a check or somebody with. It's a lot of demonic energy out there, and it's a lot of people that don't have you in their best interest. Surround yourself with people that have you in their best interests and good, solid people. It's really that simple.
Okay. Okay. Now you told us about a couple qualities that you value, quality of being real, being true to yourself, being ethical. But are there any other qualities that are key to be a successful music executive?
Yeah, be aggressive. Be
Mm,
aggressive. Go hard. That's what I've being aggressive at times could be a gift and a curse. But I've been aggressive, and I look at it in a lot of good ways of aggressive of, you know, of going after certain things that a lot of people might have gave up and going after, and I kept going. I kept going.
okay. Okay. All right. So you talked about building relationships, and I know that's important. And you talked a little bit about how you approach it. Uh, so how do like our young listeners, how do they get in a position to be able to put themselves or get themselves in a room where they can start networking with these certain uh, professionals?
Well, you live in a city where there's not really a music scene. You have to, go to these conferences. Everything now is easy because you can go online and pull up, you can pull up conferences. You can pull up South by Southwest, or you can go to A3C here in Atlanta. You can, it's different outlets, and there's so many different things that you can do that you can get in rooms with people that have been in the business for years, and you can network with them even if you live in a small town or a town that's not that there's not Atlanta, Nashville, New York, or LA. You can get in these rooms, you can go to these other places and network, and that's what you got to do.
Okay. So besides the podcast, do you have any current projects um, or what can we expect from you in the future if it's anything more?
I have some things that I'm working on as far as consulting, artists. I got a couple artists, producers that I'm excited about. I hadn't closed everything out yet, but that I'm excited about. So, from a management standpoint, I have some things I'm excited about. So even outside the podcast, I'll still have my hands firmly entrenched in this music business. Looks like for the rest of my life.
Okay. All right. So do you see Southern hip hop evolving even more in the future?
I hope so. I hope so. Everything that's going to have any longevity to it has to evolve.
Okay. So what legacy do you hope to leave in the music industry?
You know what? I don't know because I'm still writing it. But
Okay.
as of today, I don't really know that I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Now I'm gonna take you down memory lane for a minute. Give me some of some of your favorite memories that you've had in your time of the music industry.
Just being around like there are artists that have become friends and family to me. So just being, out on tours, on the road, it's just certain things that, memories that you have, just having fun, man, as a youth. I look back on it, as I'm older now and I don't really, I don't have to go out on tours and I haven't been out on a tour in a while. But just having those memories, man, laughing to yourself like I remember when this happened or that happened.
Okay. How does legendary Jerry unwind when he's not working? I know you're gonna have a cigar.
Yeah, I like to travel. I like to lay on some beach, one of the God's beaches somewhere, whether it's in this country or out of the country.
And what's in that cup?
It just depends on my mood. Some nights it might be some Glenlivet 12.
Okay.
Some nights it might be some tequila, just on the rocks with a lime. It just depends on my mood. A lot of times I smoke cigar. I might drink some whiskey or some bourbon with my cigar. It just depends.
Okay. I see it. Is there anybody that you're grateful to besides your uncle on your journey?
My mama and daddy,
Okay.
they like I said, my dad put batteries in my back when I needed it the
Got
most.
you. Okay. I'm gonna have a little fun with you if you don't mind. Couple
Okay.
questions. Okay. Is there, if you could work with any artist, past or present, who would that be and why?
Probably Prince.
Okay.
Because
Why?
because I like instrumentation, and I know from the stories I've heard of people that work with him, like his jam sessions were like incredible, man. Like the instruments that he played and that his band played. And another thing, he kept beautiful women around. Shoot, Prince had some of the baddest women on the planet with him. So it's got
Man.
to be Prince. It's got to be Prince.
Okay. All right. If you think back to yourself, what's one of the most the surprising people you've met? Just that you were kind of surprised, or maybe didn't think you would meet him.
I don't think there's nobody that I was surprised that I would ever meet him.
Okay.
I'm glad I got to meet like Stevie Wonder and people like that.
Okay.
Well, I would say I wouldn't say never, but Earth, Wind and Fire, I just met them recently, last year. So I would say Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay. Do you have an all-time favorite song or album?
No, that's too. I love so much music, man. That's hard. Yeah, not one. It's so many.
Right. Okay. Okay. You spend time in the studios with artists. You got a funny memory of being in the studio?
Um, I have spent a lot of time over the years. I don't have just like one situation that's funny. I at one point I was a studio rat, but I never really wanted to be in a studio like that because especially as I got older, I was able to have people that were in the studio had to let me know what was going on. I would poke in and peep in and get out, but there's not just one memory. It's not just one.
Okay. Did you ever have musical inclinations, wanting to play an instrument, sing, rap? Did you ever?
No, never. That's one gift God didn't bless me with. He didn't bless me with no creativity, be able to play no instrument, and he didn't give me no voice to sing or rap.
Okay. So if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Again, try to stay away from people with bad energy, demonic energy, and people that are just all around negative.
Okay. So do you cook?
Nah,
No.
nah, nah. But
Okay.
I'll buy the groceries though.
You buy the groceries. Okay. Ain't nothing wrong
I
with
buy the
that.
groceries.
So what's your favorite meal?
Anything with seafood. I love seafood. So anything
Okay.
anything seafood based, I love it. I love it. And I've been eating a lot of Mediterranean lately, a lot of lamb and different things like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I like lamb. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. So how'd you meet Tone Henderson? Tell me that story.
With Tone being here in Atlanta and working for LaFace Records, we both were coming up in the game at the same time. And we both big guys, tall, and we both lost a lot of weight. But at that time, we were both big guys, and we just gravitated toward each other. Me talking about Chicago, and him talking about being from Kansas City, and we clicked up. And then later on, when he was working with another artist, he wanted me to do independent radio for him, and so we wind up, coming back together for that. But he always was just a solid dude. Like I said, a positive, like-minded individual. And, I always wanted to be around people like that. And me and him, we both like to joke and joan and talk trash. That's another thing that brought us together, because we go talk some trash.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking time out. I know you're busy. Thank you
for
very
having
much.
me,
man, I appreciate it. And we'll make sure that people know they can catch Legendary Jerry, Storytime with Legendary Jerry on iHeart Radio. Yeah. They can also catch it on the website. Tell them again.
LegendaryJerry.com is where you can catch everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I'm on it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.